Well, I've been riding motorcycles and working in the garage with my dad since I was 5 years old. And I've also had my motorcycle license for over a year now. And I plan on building my very own motorcycle, specifically a cafe racer. Today, I would like to introduce to you the differences in a that make a cafe racer motorcycle unique. According to the Saskatchewan Motorcycle Association, the cafe racer was created by rockers in the 1960s and became popular in Britain, Italy, France, and other European countries. These rockers, they felt that they needed a motorcycle, a bike that suited their lifestyle. Rock and roll was a big part of their lives in that time. I mean, you had the Beatles, you had all this stuff going on. And they wanted something that not only went fast and met that need, but also that also looked the part. The style of bikes, the cafe racer, came overseas when troops that were in the war and in the army came back home and realized that the motorcycles here were nothing like what they were used to seeing in Europe and everything. So they ended up chopping up two different bikes and putting them together to form this new bike and unclutter it and everything. And the main principle behind its creation was mixing a high-performance engine, like the ones on a Triumph back in the day, with the best frame and suspension that there was, like the ones on the featherbed motorcycle. The look of the cafe racer is all about cutting out anything that's unnecessary, no clutter, and lightweight to make the bikes as fast as possible. The goal was to get at least over 100 miles per hour. And the bikes were best suited for short, fast trips from one cafe bar to the next, which is where it gets its name from. There are many races on this. To this day, people still race cafe racers. And there's a huge following for these almost simplistic creations that allows for all sorts of customizations. Hunter S. Thompson, the author of A Kingdom of Fear, stated, "On my tombstone, they will carve, 'It never got fast enough for me.'" This quote shows how dedicated cafe racers are to their motorcycle and that it's even a lifestyle and how they live. There's even a television show called Cafe Racers where the whole point of the show is they're building a cafe racer bottom up. They have to get the frame and everything, and do all of that, and it's in its 3rd season right now. Now I would like to highlight the distinguishing features that are most prominent on a cafe racer. As you can see, there's little to no back fender. They've minimized it to the point where in some cafe racers they just don't have a back fender. It is also rare for there to be 2-seaters on this. They weren't meant to have more than one person riding these bikes. And the seat is inset in the bike. And you can also see that the handlebars are to the front and closer together. And this is so that when they're racing, they're more aerodynamic in the wind by being bent over. In some ways, it's very similar to sport bikes, like Ducatis, Suzuki's, stuff like that. And then you can also see that there's an indent on the gas tank on each side, and it's so that you have better grip with your thighs. And they also elongate the gas tank, again for aerodynamic purposes, and it looks cooler. In this picture, you can see that there's a lot of airspace in between. It doesn't have much besides the engine and the necessary stuff like the carburetor and things like that. And this was to make it more lightweight and faster. And it's kind of a different way to like a bike. They have their there's Harleys that are really bulky and big, and those bikes tend to slow down. They're not as easily maneuverable, unlike these bikes. I also brought my motorcycle helmet. Cafe racers are known to be very vintage, I guess you could say, with a vintage look, and to keep that vintage way alive, many cafe racer riders use a 3/4 helmet rather than a full helmet, kind of like what Evel Knievel used and stuff like that. So just brought it to show that. While all of these traits are what the cafe racers have in common, this style of motorcycle is most known for being customized by each individual. And usually people choose to build their own bikes themselves because of this, there's huge artistic freedom to create your own motorcycle. When I say the Cafe Racer is a unique motorcycle, I mean that not only is the style of motorcycle unique, but so are each and every one of them.
I'm sorry, I forgot to remind people who was doing the evaluations. Joe, you were supposed to have done the written evaluation. I hope you remembered that.
Yeah.
And Melanie, you're supposed to do the oral evaluation.
I liked her speech. Maybe she should have shown an image of the cafe racer, like in the beginning. Because the entire time while he was speaking, I was like sort of like imagining just a regular motorcycle because I didn't know what it was. You have credibility because you ride a motorcycle. She had good sources. The whole crossing the legs and fiddling with the paper, maybe you should have wrote on like note cards or something. And I saw that you were reading most of the time, so maybe just practice your speech.
Okay. Can I get the time? I'm sorry.
7:35.
Thank you. All right, I like the personal story to get us started for the attention device. That was fine. I thought your goal was very clearly stated. I think you need a stronger preview so that we know exactly where you're going. It sounds very general, and that becomes a problem later on because as you're going through your descriptions, there's not really any noticeable pattern to the descriptions. It seems like I keep getting additional features every couple of minutes, and so the features aren't all grouped together. They're spread out through the presentation, and I thought that would be one of those things that would be early on in the presentation. I understand what Melanie's talking about. I thought it would have been appropriate maybe to have that first picture of the Cafe Racer early in the speech, and then you could come back and talk about the unique features again a little bit. But I'm sitting here in my head trying to visualize exactly what it is you're talking about, and I'm imagining these bikes that they had in Europe that Americans saw, and how they're trying to change them and make. And I'm going, okay, well, what is that? I couldn't quite picture it. As soon as you put the first picture up, I went, okay, that makes so much more sense, and I understand what's going on. And I thought the later pictures did a good job of emphasizing some of the things you're talking about, the lack of extras, or the way that they've got the gas tanks elongated, and they've got the divot in them so that you can clutch it tighter with your thighs, and the lack of fenders, and how it's open in the body so the air flows through it, and it's all about keeping the Cafe Racer light. I like that. The historical information comes from someplace. I think you need to give us a source citation on that. The one particular citation you gave us, it was an enthusiast, a well-known enthusiast. By the way, I'd like to know if it says it on his gravestone, because he's been dead for a while, and we ought to find out if that's in fact what it says. I thought the visuals, like I said, were pretty effective. I think the one needed to be a little bit earlier. And everything else was shown pretty effectively. Like I said, the organization was a little bit problematic. Melanie picked out some of the things about delivery that you're going to want to watch. You're not going to want to watch, but you need to watch your own speech, because the next speech, remember, we're working on presentation-oriented things, and those will be the things that you want to focus on. You're crossing your legs, you're putting your hands in your pockets uncomfortably, you're fixing your hair, you're going through a whole routine of this, and all of it just says nervous, self-conscious, not confident, I don't know, just get me out of here, and it's like you're squirming under the experience instead of being in control of the experience. And you need to watch it. I know it'll make you uncomfortable, but you know what? You gotta have to be aware of all the things that you're doing and force yourself to deal with them. Thank you.